everyone. In our video we will talk about environmental problems in the Caspian Sea in Kazakhstan. The Caspian Sea is the world's largest inland body of water, variously classed as the world's largest lake or a full-fledged sea. It is an endorheic basin located between Europe and Asia, to the east of the Caucasus Mountains and to the west of the broad steppe of Central Asia. The Caspian Sea is one of the most important endorheic basins, or closed drainage systems in the world, and, given its landlocked nature, no flow-through exists to aid self-purification. Pollutants entering the water body are retained, having no means by which they can be removed. Therefore, it is vital to fully understand levels of contaminant inputs, and thus choose the best informed and most cost-effective means to mitigate or alleviate pollution. River inflows are a key factor in the Caspian Basin. This reinforces the importance of quantifying riverine fluxes of pollutants. The main sectors contributing to these pollution fluxes are agriculture, industry including the oil and gas sector, and urbanization. Primary inflows are Volga River, Ural River, Kura River and Terek River. Caspian Sea is an ecological system with rich natural resources, which include mineral, biological, agroclimatical, balneological, and recreational component. There are 1809 species and subspecies of animals such as stocks of valuable kinds of freshwater fishes, Caspian reach, sazan, zander, strat, carp, perch and salmon. Caspian sturgeon as the oldest, 200 to 300 million years old fish species still living on Earth. Hydrocarbons include oil reserves that vary from 17 up to 250 billion tons. Building stones, including valuable types of finishing stones and various salts, especially in the Gulf of Karabogazgal. Fertile earth on the Caspian coast consisting of agriculture.
The main problem is that the Caspian Sea is under a constant threat of pollution. There are various sources of the pollution, which we can classify as follows: river flow, onshore industrial and municipal wastewater, offshore and onshore oil extraction, sea level growth, as a result of the flooded coastal zone, where also many oil wells still function. Pollutions reaches the sea. Intensive oil and gas development in the Caspian region resulted in the following issues: extensive air, water, land pollutions, wildlife degradation, exhaustion of natural resources, ecosystem disturbance, desertification, and considerable losses in biological and landscape diversity.
One of the serious types of pollution is the air pollution. Main sources of air pollution are 269 enterprises with over 5,600 stationary pollutant emission sources. 251 enterprises were inventoried for emission sources, on the results of which, normative documentation on maximum allowable emissions was developed. In 1998, the air emission volume was 135,057 100% tons for all enterprises in the oblast, from which solid substances 2,281 2% and gas 132,775 tons 98%. This pollution consists of sulfur dioxide 33%, carbon oxide 47%, nitrogen oxide 13%, hydrocarbons 13%, others 6%. Causes of high-level urban air pollution are obsolete production technologies, inefficient treatment equipment, low fuel quality, poor use of renewable and non-traditional energy sources. One of the ways of solving problems related to air pollution is introduction of energy-saving technologies. Next environmental problem of the Caspian Sea is the land pollution. During the development of oil wells, soil is being contaminated by oil spills, straddle water discharges, and regulated transport and equipment traffic. This creates waste such as oil slime, soil polluted by oil and salts, metal wastes, materials polluted by radioactive substances of natural origin, debris and well overhaul wastes. There are areas with technological storages, where surplus oil is stored for emergencies or well overhaul activities. For example, annually over 50,000 tons of oil slime and oil-polluted soil is produced in the Republic of Kazakhstan, and the task is to clean up land from these wastes. As an example, Based on data of controlling environmental bodies, there are now no more oil storages and oil-polluted sites in the Kyzyllorda Oblast.
Overfishing is also considered as a serious problem that can lead to irreversible consequences. The Caspian Sea is a major fishery reservoir where 90% of the world's sturgeon stocks were produced annually. Extensive spawning places in the rivers flowing into the sea and high food provision have contributed to the largest world sturgeon concentration in the Caspian Sea. There are around 50 other fish species in the river delta and coastal parts of the Caspian Sea. However, the last year's contamination of the Ural River and the Caspian Sea by increased petroleum and industrial wastes resulted in decrease of natural spawning places. Combined with large fisheries and continuous growth of mass poaching, this causes a critical fisheries situation in the Ural-Caspian basin. As an example, in the table below, the sturgeon production is stated. Among with the sturgeon, here you can see the situation with the seals. It is unclear how many seals remain in the Caspian Sea. From a population estimated at more than 1 million in the early years of the 20th century, population estimates now vary between 110,000 and 350,000. For more than 100 years, hunting of seal pups was carried out in the frozen North Caspian area each winter. In the early 20th century, nearly 100,000 seals were hunted each year. Later, a quota was set at 40,000 pups per year, further reduced to 20,000 pups per year. The hunting quota, set by the Caspian Bioresources Commission for 2007, was 18,000 seals. Even if during the last decade no organized hunting has taken place in the North Caspian, the hunting quotas exceeded the estimated annual pup production. Recent mass mortalities have reduced the seal population even further. In 2000, a mass mortality due to the canine distemper virus caused tens of thousands of deaths throughout the Caspian. Pollution has been shown to result in a high number of barren females. Up to 70% of females are thought to be barren, which also threatens the overall seal population. Nowadays, 112 plant species and 240 species of animals in the Caspian Sea coastal zone have been noted by the Caspian Coastal Site Inventory and included in the Red List or National Red Books. The proportion of the various vulnerable and endangered species in the littoral states, as compared to the entire list of Red Book species recorded in the Caspian Sea coastal zone, is as follows. Azerbaijan, 44% of plants and 33% of animals. Iran, 6% of plants and 13% of animals. Kazakhstan, 10% of plants and 32% of animals. Russia, 64% of plants and 65% of animals. Turkmenistan, 8% of plants and 15% of animals. The total count of species in the Caspian Sea region is estimated to be between 1,800 and 2,000, incorporating different groups of plants and animals. There are also natural pollution sources in the sea, like mud volcanoes or griffins. Mud volcanoes erupt frequently on the coast, on islands, and on banks of the South Caspian. As a result of this process, new banks and islands are formed on the Caspian Sea, most of which is washed away subsequently. The majority of jars and islands in the area of the Baku archipelago has a volcanic origin. Unfortunately, at this moment, no regular monitoring of the Caspian Sea contamination is conducted. Due to financial problems, scientists have to use last year's data for the environmental picture of the sea. This approach is not far from reality because the pollution characteristics for the region do not change much. The water level of the Caspian Sea has been rising steadily since 1978 for reasons that scientists have not been able to explain fully. At the northern end of the sea, more than 1 million hectares of land in Atirau province have been flooded. Experts estimate that if current rates of increase persist, the coastal city of Atirau, 88 other population centers, and many of Kazakhstan's Caspian oil fields could be submerged by 2020. Here you can see impacts of climate change in the Caspian Basin. On the atmosphere, there will be a strong increase in temperature during the cold season, more than 4.5 Celsius for 2070 to 2099. On map, yellow regions are severe desertification areas, green regions are areas with increased precipitation. Pink color used for areas with decreased precipitation, and blue regions are shown as areas with a high rise of flooding. Consequences on social and economic sectors. Arid areas of Kazakhstan are used for sheep, goat, camel, and horse farming in order to supply the rising demand for meat, milk, and wool. Neither Atirau nor Mangistau oblasts contribute significantly to agricultural production. In Kazakhstan's Caspian Sea areas, agricultural production in monetary terms has increased over the past decade, though there has been a decrease in the productivity of land in some areas. In the future, envisaged climate change, the redistribution of precipitation, an increase of frequency and intensity of droughts based on air temperature increase will entail negative consequences, particularly in agriculture and water management in Kazakhstan. A reduction in agricultural land use was evident in the Atirau Oblast of Kazakhstan, where the wheat production area decreased from 1,170 to 520 in 2005 to 2009. In order to prevent further problems, priority actions by the government in the framework of Long-Term Strategy 2030, Ecology and Natural Resources were conducted. In order to implement the priority preservation of the biological diversity of the Kazakhstan Caspian littoral region, the most relevant measures are shown in the slide. In conclusion, Kazakhstan is a country with vast amount of natural resources and environmental treasures as the Caspian Sea. We should remember to use the resources efficiently to save our environment. So, that is the end of our presentation. Thank you for your attention.